Or the streamer, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone.
Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you one more time to Wednesday evening at 5 o'clock. Lawrence County Republican Party is about to begin the fastest moving hour in radio. My name is Brandon Taylor. I am the chairman of the Lawrence County Republican Party. And across the table from me, I have my good friend, Mr. Lawrence Sutton, who is the secretary of the Lawrence County Republican Party. And we have a mutual friend here in studio with us, Mr. Gary Humble, with Tennessee Stands. And we're glad you're here, Mr. Gary Humble. How are you today?
It's great to be in Lawrence County.
Good.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, buddy. I mean, long time no see.
Yeah, feels like it's a long way from Williamson County.
Yeah, that's not too far.
It's a pretty drive.
You just need to drive it more often. It gets a little easier.
You know, I bought my truck in Lawrence County.
Did you?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's great. We love people to come here and spend their money. That's good for local economy. So
that's right.
Come on back down.
That's right.
And hopefully we'll get you back down a little more often. Just sitting here talking in studio before we went on air. It's been a while since we've had you with us. We've done some events with you in the past, and so we're glad to have you back. We're going to be picking your brain about some political events. This show, I want to thank the Lawrence County Republican Party for actually sponsoring this show, putting it on the air, giving us an opportunity to come in and talk about politics, local, statewide, and sometimes even national politics. Seems to be the main thing on the screens that we're looking at right now. I want to give just a heads up for our next meeting, which is going to be on October 24th at 6 p.m. at the Lawrence County Courthouse, our next Lawrence County Republican Party meeting. And next week on the radio with us, Lawrence, we're going to have Bedford County chairman from the Bedford County Republican Party. I'll get it out in a minute.
Yeah, that's okay.
Bo Gill.
Yeah.
And with him, we're also going to have Bedford County Commissioner Eric Maddox, a good team, coming back, going to be in studio with us next week. Looking forward to that. Some good guys that are over there pushing for conservative views and ideology, so can't wait to have them in. So
yeah. Now, Gary, we have been following you now probably 2 years, maybe even a little more than 2 years. Tell our listeners about Tennessee Stands and what all you have been doing, because I mean I could talk about it, but you would be able to tell everybody better than I could.
Yeah, we came up in the summer of 2020 when all the COVID nonsense was going on, and it really was a response initially to the mask mandates and everything that was happening.
Yes.
Of course, I'm sure I'm in a friendly room. We all recognize that those things that were happening were completely unconstitutional.
Amen.
Our governor was ruling by executive fiat and handing out authority to county mayors, on and on and on. And I got to be honest to some degree. And so before I get there, when we started, not only were we fighting back locally, we filed several lawsuits. We sued the governor, we sued the school board, we sued the county mayor, we sued hospitals. Of course, most of those lawsuits got thrown out of court based on standing, because as you know, when courts don't want to deal with an issue, they just tell you, well, you don't have a right for that issue to be heard. And so that was unfortunate, but we've continued that fight legislatively. And to some degree, I thought, well, gosh, when COVID's over, now what is Tennessee Stands going to do? You know, there'll be nothing left to do. Well,
Special session, maybe?
Yeah, maybe not to my surprise. You recognize very quickly, legislative session after session, all of the things that not only are happening, but it's the things that don't happen. When you're paying close attention, it's the conservative efforts that die in committee, that never see the light of day, that are very concerning in a supermajority Republican legislature that you would hope is a conservative legislature. And it's not.
It's not.
right.
And so I would describe our work primarily as a conservative watchdog in Tennessee. And so our bread and butter is really during session. We are reporting in depth, is my hope, on all of these bills and issues that are going through committee. We're working to educate Tennesseans on how to follow those efforts, how to track those bills, and we're providing as much opportunity as we can and making it as easy as possible for individuals to communicate with their legislators in terms of action items and supporting or opposing different pieces of legislation. So that's what we do. And I'll say, here in about a month, and I don't want to spill too many beans, but if they thought they disliked me now in the General Assembly, they are really going to dislike us, because we're launching a report card online.
Good.
Well, bless your heart.
And that report card will not only be a report card on voting scores.
Right.
It's going to show you a profile on every on all 132 legislators of how much campaign money they take in, how much of that money comes from special interests, and it's also going to give voters the opportunity, sort of like Yelp, to rate and review their legislators online.
Okay.
So we're about to have lots of fun.
We could go 5-star, 1-star.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And leave your little comment behind.
We can. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm pretty sure Kip Capley's probably listening right now.
Yeah. So Kip, pay attention.
Yeah, buddy. I need to go to Strikers. When you taking me out to dinner?
Oh, here we go. Well, once you get that kicked off and get that going, if you want to come back and jump in with us and talk us through it, maybe we could do that on air sometime.
I would love to do that. I'm really excited about it. There's nothing like it in Tennessee. We really are trying to build something that gives you as holistic a view as we can on how your representatives are attacking or fighting for conservative values and giving you an opportunity to respond. So that's what we do, and we've been at it for 3 years now, and God willing, as long as he gives us the ability and the influence to do so, we'll continue.
Well, and that's the one thing that I really like also about you, Gary, is that you always put God first, not only in your business, but also in your family. And I tell you the other thing, when you said you're about to really make some people mad, you actually are in the fight right now, currently, where our government has gone after you just because you ran against one of their favorite senators.
Yeah,
that's up there.
Yeah, so last year in the Republican primary, I ran for state senate against Majority Leader Jack Johnson, 16-year incumbent at the time, and now in his 5th term. And look, I'm just going to say, I knew that was an uphill battle, right? I mean, you're going up against a 16-year incumbent, one of the most powerful men in Tennessee government.
Yes. And you lost by what, 400 or 500 points?
I lost by 787 votes. I walked away with 49% of the vote. But the most interesting part of that statistic is on election day, I got 54% of the vote. Actually won election day, but I lost in early voting.
Right.
So, have you heard that story before?
Yeah, we've heard that story before. I seem to remember didn't that happen with Donald Trump, maybe?
That's something.
But the trick is that was, well over a year ago. It was last August, and I'm hoping that it is done. Hoping they will relent this month in their meeting. But the Tennessee Registry of Election Finance is still working to investigate my campaign, decrying that we've illegally used Tennessee stands to fund my campaign, despite the fact that all of the reporting on every dollar that was raised and spent is there at the state. They've got copies of our bank account. They've got copies of every check that came into the campaign. So hopefully that will be done in October. But, the fact of the matter on that is that you've probably heard it said that the process is the punishment, right?
Right.
And that's what this is. It's using the power of the state for political retribution. And look, that's what we're up against. That is what we're up against.
And that's the reason it was so important for us to get you on air, is because I don't think a lot of people, if they're not familiar with you and your organization, we want them to be familiar with you, because you have done a lot of good work, and you're continuing to do good work. And frankly, what they did was a witch hunt. It was a modern day witch hunt.
Yeah.
Is what they did. And if you don't mind me talking about this, but you're telling me earlier that you're out over $14,000 just defending something that they already have right there in front of them to look and read over.
Yeah. Over the last year, $14,000 in the hold in legal fees, just defending against political retribution from the state. Yeah, but that's, look, there is a huge. I'm not saying that to pity myself, but we need to all understand. Unfortunately, there's a huge price to pay when you go up against the establishment and you go up against those who seek to hold on to their own power. And certainly that what is happening to me, I believe, and I'm not unique. I mean, they've done this time and time again to several people. They do this. Why? It is a deterrent.
Right.
This is a public, in-your-face deterrent from other conservatives who would dare challenge the incumbent or challenge the establishment to run for office. And I will say, unfortunately, it is a very effective deterrent whenever you've got moms and dads and folks that are running businesses realizing that to run for office, these are the types of things they may go through and the kinds of public attacks they may go through. So, but we keep fighting. I think a lot of us recognizing that. There's enough of us, I believe, that love our state, love our country to the degree, and trust God to the degree that we will not be deterred. And that's the hope. And I think the longer we see all the madness that happens, out in the world now, but even here in our state, I think there's plenty of folks fired up that are willing to take those kinds of risks. I know I still am. So
yeah.
I know we're seeing a lot of people getting excited about things that are happening. And when I say getting excited, it's not always in a good way. Some people would call it
fired up.
They're getting fired up. They're getting fired up about things. And Lawrence and I, we're the guys that didn't really want to get involved in politics. You've known that because you've known us for a couple of years now.
Well, neither did I.
We didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
It's not something that we wanted to do. And, for those that might be just tuning in or just getting to hear what we're talking about, we have in studio with us Mr. Gary Humble, and he has TennesseeStands.org is your website.
That's right.
They can go online. They can look at your videos. You put out videos daily, I believe, and
not daily, but
every day.
But there's a lot up there, a lot of commentaries. You can follow us on social media at Tennessee Stands. Lots of things going on. We try to look a little bit beyond the headline.
Sure.
We try to go past the narrative. I mean, if you're paying attention now, that for the most part, mainstream media is doing nothing but feeding you a narrative.
Absolutely. My dad used to tell me this when I was growing up. He always said, son, don't listen to what they're telling you. Listen to what they're not telling you. Mm-hmm. And he says, and then you'll find the truth.
That's great advice.
One of the things that we wanted to do is get candidates, elected officials, get them in front of a microphone, let them talk. And we go by a biblical scripture on this. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so if you want to know what someone really, their true intentions are, what they're really composed of, what holds them and knits them together, get them in front of a microphone and let them start talking. So that's been one of the things that we've really pushed to do here in Lawrence County and even other places we'll be getting outside the county lately. But I talked to someone, and I won't call their name now, but I think we're going to be connected with them very soon. They've got a Facebook podcast that they're doing. It's very conservative. I'm going to be meeting with these guys in a couple of days, but I was with them a couple of nights ago, and I talked to the guy, and I said, you ever seen a video on YouTube, and you got all those, like, talking heads, and you're talking about the mainstream media, okay, the media giants, and you'll see, like, 50 different talking heads saying exact same words. They're reading from the same script. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one of the things, having you here in studio, I'll say this, and I'm going to be saying it to other people that have podcasts, that are doing events, radio shows like Lawrence and I are doing with the Republican Party here, but I want us to be saying this. It's time for the conservatives to be reading from the same script, but we're not following the script. We're going to be following the same spirit.
Yeah.
And it's time. We all sound exactly the same, but we're not talking enough. And I was telling someone that this is a very effective method that they have. They're saying the same thing across states and across this nation. We've got to get people who are out there, such as yourself. You're doing commentary. I'm not as much into commentary as I am trying to get the guy in front of the microphone to give you some commentary to do. But when we get to where we can start really saying the same things, getting linked up together, fighting the same battles, let's get on the same page. I just appreciate you being here and drive down your own free will. I mean, we called you and said, hey, come on, get in the studio with us. And you're like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But it's time that we get these guys together. And I would like to see us link up more because it's like you said, you're in good company here. I mean, we could probably talk about 50 different topics and we would never disagree once. Because we have the same goals for our country, have the same goals for our state. And
Follow
we've got
the
to move
same
this state
God,
forward.
too.
And it's the same God. So we've got to move forward in this, and we've got to get folks that are out there with their podcasts, different things, radio stations, as I said. We've got to get to saying the same things. Let's get on the same page, and let's start fighting the battles together. That's what I mean. A unified front is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So let's talk. What are we talking about?
Well, you know what?
Let's dig in.
Let's dig in. So I'm going to tell you what Brandon and I were talking about earlier today is Hamas Day of Rage. They are calling out Hamas is calling out the Day of Rage.
They're such a tolerant
Isn't that
group of
supposed to
people.
be Friday?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Friday
the 13th. Yeah.
And you know what's amazing? And I've
seen that movie.
I've seen a couple of newspaper articles coming out. Memphis right now has got a problem because their Muslim population is calling for this Day of Rage over there in Memphis right
Really?
now. Yes.
Wow. I actually pulled up a news article just before we got started, and it's one of the former Hamas leaders has called for worldwide protests. So if people are just listening to this show just now, or maybe you're listening to it online, it's actually in the news. It's hitting the news media where Hamas is actually calling for a day of rage throughout the United States, throughout the world. They'd love to do a targeted terrorist attack here in the United States. And, I mean, the first thing I think of, Gary, Lawrence, is open borders. I mean, that's the first thing
right
that
where I was
crossed
gonna
my
go.
mind. It's like even if we wanted to address this problem, it's almost as if it's too far gone to even get in front of it.
Well, I tell you what I look at, and I'm sitting here, I'm smiling because the reason I'm smiling because that Jason Aldean song comes to mind. Try that in a small town, because they're going to go to the larger cities,
Sure
in
they
order
are.
to do this. Because I mean, let's face it. I mean, around here, I mean, we would play cowboys and Muslims if they wanted to go that far.
Sure. I mean, we're not going to allow that kind of stuff to take place in a
We are
small
not
town,
going to
but-
allow that. And the crazy part about it is that the Hamas leader, and I'm not even going to give him his name out, but this guy is saying, we don't need your money, we need your blood.
Yes.
That is what he is saying
was
to
his
his
statement.
people. And I'm going to tell you something. Okay, I can help you with that if that's what you want. I prefer to live in peace if you would let me. But I just don't see those things happening.
Yeah, and the biggest threat to our security here, in the States and even here in Tennessee is certainly there's, I know I've heard the saying that every state is a border state. I believe that was stated by Marsha Blackburn, actually.
Right.
And she's right on that. And that is the single greatest threat I think we face right now today in America is an open border. And I was looking up today some things about these Iranian sleeper cells that many suspect are across the country. There's an interview. This was in 2020. It's a Fox News interview, and they were interviewing a CIA agent, and they asked him, we're hearing about these sleeper cells across the country. Is this a legitimate threat? He said, absolutely. And he hearkened to the border. And he said, the thing is, I don't know how extensive the threat is because we've done and again, this was back in 2020 before the floodgates really opened, very wide. He was like, we've done a decent job of working to identify who these people are. And he said, even the ones that have made it through as they've gone around the country, we know who they are. We know where they're at. But I was thinking about that and considering, the mass of people that have been coming across the border on a monthly basis now here in 2023. It would be impossible for that CIA agent to have an interview and be able to say the same thing today. There's no way we could feasibly know who these people are and where they're at. And I have a great deal of concern, when they start throwing out things like days of rage into communities like a Memphis. Like you're absolutely correct. There is a ever growing Middle Eastern population growing there in Memphis. So it is concerning. The only thing we can do right now is arm ourselves, secure our rights to our Second Amendment, which unfortunately our governor worked very hard to impede just a few months ago.
We worked just as hard against him. I'm going to tell you that.
If there was a time that we should not be working to abrogate the rights of every God-fearing American to be able to defend themselves and defend the lives of their family, it's now.
Has Bill Lee done anything for our state that has helped us with our Constitution? And I'm saying this
with our Constitution. No.
I'm saying this facetiously because this man took away our rights when it comes, even hospitals, even being able to visit hospitals. I'm going to tell you something. I blame my dad's death because hospitals killed him with COVID, and I couldn't go in there and help him make decisions or anything.
That's right. He had no advocate outside of their own.
And you worked on that
NIH
hard.
Dictated protocol.
That's correct. And I remember you worked very hard on that, trying to get a bill passed, even, and it died in committee, even.
Yep. That's right.
and I appreciate that. But
we actually followed that bill. We watched that.
Yes, but I'm going to tell you something. I mean, Bill Lee. I'm ready for Bill Lee to go back and start working on air conditioners again.
Yeah, no kidding.
Politics and conservative politics is not for Bill Lee. He's doing everything for the Democrats, it looks like. As a matter of fact, when Brandon and we looked over the Democratic platform. And if you go look at the 18 things that Bill Lee had put in for his special session, you could find all 18 of them in the Democratic platform.
Yeah, I bet you could. And there's also, Brandon Lewis, the Tennessee conservative, talks about this a lot. When Bill Lee ran for office, there were these 10 promises that he made during his campaign, and he's broken every single one of them.
Oh, good. I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
The interesting thing about the governor, when you look in, I believe it's in Article 10 of our state constitution, that's where the oaths of office lie. Mm-hmm. There's an oath constitutionally prescribed for our governor and for state legislators. And the governor's oath is incredibly simple. He takes an oath to do two things: to uphold the United States Constitution and to uphold the Constitution of the state of Tennessee.
Correct.
That's literally the only two things he swears to do as governor. As governor of the state of Tennessee, you don't swear to build the economy.
Right.
You don't swear to keep us safe. You don't swear to raise teacher pay. You don't swear to do any of those things. You swear to two things: to ensure that you uphold the constitutions of the federal government of the United States and Tennessee, and that you work to ensure that the rights secured therein are not abrogated from the citizens within your state. That part is actually included in the oaths of office for all of our legislators. So this is, at the end of the day, it's why I get so frustrated about how much in Tennessee I call the Republican Party in the state of Tennessee, and you can disagree with me, Chamber of Commerce Republicans.
Hey, listen, me and Brandon, I'm going to tell you, this is Brandon and I saying, we are Christians first, we are constitutionalists second, we are conservatives third, and we're Republicans fourth.
Yeah.
Republicans are down far on that list because those things are a lot more important than being the Republican Party. Here's the thing, though. If you go read the National Republican Party platform, it looks like it was written by our founding fathers inside of a church with a pastor helping it. The problem is the Republicans are not following their own platform.
Yeah.
They're ignoring their own platform.
Yeah, and one of the things we're doing here in this county, and we're encouraging others to do in other counties. I was in visiting a county on Monday, and one of the things we're encouraging them to do is take over the Republican Party in their county.
Yeah.
Get out there and get involved. And I know it's been a battle in some of these counties, and you have some of these counties, they have it's institutionalized. There's a good old boy club, and it's part of the Chamber of Commerce, just exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm. It is not just Tennessee. It's in other states as well. But what's happening is we're waking up and we're saying this system is failing us. We went to the ballot box too many times, thought we were going to vote R for Republican, and we were going to get good results, and we started to get bad results. Mm-hmm. And now a lot of us are waking up going, what's the problem? So
because we're voting for reprobates, we're not voting for Republicans. The R stands for reprobate for a lot of them.
But here's the thing: I'm a fix-it guy. When something's broke, I'm like, I got to go fix it. Around my house, I'm always fixing something, fixing faucets yesterday. But I saw this, and this is what got me involved, Gary, and it got you involved as well, because what really exposed it was 2020, the pandemic. We saw all of our rights being stripped away. I mean, every right we had, right to assemble, freedom of speech. I mean, it just kept being stripped away. Now, I think even after, and I'm not saying that this Second Amendment stuff that we've been dealing with a special session is tied to COVID, but it seems to be just like it's an afterwash of this that we're having to deal with. Now we fought through the whole freedom of speech, which we refuse to shut down our church. We're just not going to shut it down. The government's not going to tell me when I can and cannot worship.
We didn't shut down one day.
And so we didn't shut down these things. We're not going to. And now we're fighting against the Second Amendment. And I'm looking at these gun laws that were proposed, which really was, Lawrence said, it right out of the Democrat national platform, even all the way down to the gun locks, safe storage, the fact that gun violence is mental health crime. I mean, it's right out of the Democrat national platform. So all these things that we've seen, this has come through COVID, we're getting involved, and it is Chamber of Commerce politics. It's been exposed. we want to rally people and say, come on, it's time to get involved. We want to help people. We're out here hoping that we can encourage folks. I know you're in Williamson County, and it seems like all these Republican parties are split and divided. What do you think? What do you think about the Republican parties in all these counties right now?
Well, I think especially in a lot of the rural counties, I'm seeing a lot of conservative action. There has been some success, like here in Lawrence, I believe, and in Williamson, and several counties, where you're seeing more conservatives win positions on the local county executive committees for the Republican Party. So I'm not here to decry the Republican Party, but I am here to say that the only value the party really brings is how effective it can be at preserving and promoting conservative values.
Absolutely.
That is the premier value of the party. And
that's
outside
our job.
of that's the only job. And outside of that, the party, I'm not here to promote the Republican Party outside of its ability to hold fast to the Constitution and preserve conservative values. And so what we all need to do is be okay with holding it accountable to do so. I actually don't, as much as I appreciate Ronald Reagan, I do not appreciate his 11th commandment. He used to say,
that's correct,
thou shalt not speak ill of your fellow Republican. Not this guy. Our job, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And we have to be able to hold each other accountable, because when you don't, when that accountability is lacking, you end up with a Mitch McConnell party, not only nationally, but even here in Tennessee. And that's where we've been, because the mission of so many party operatives, if you want to call them that, has just been to get an R in the seat, regardless of their policy positions.
And it's failing.
And that is a failing proposition.
Yes.
I'm not interested in getting an R in the seat. I'm interested in getting a conservative in the seat.
That's right.
And we've heard that directly from the head of the Republican Party's mouth himself, that his job is just to get them elected if they have an R by his name.
I want to add something to you. You brought up iron sharpeth iron. So I've got a saying. I always put it out there. I've got to say it. I love to take that to the next level. Iron does sharpeneth iron, but you can't sharpen iron against iron unless it's the same quality iron.
Oh, that's good.
And you can't sharpen iron with stainless steel. You'll dull both.
Really good.
So that's why when we get together with people who are like-minded,
it's kind of what you were mentioning earlier about having that same.
That's what I feel. That's what I'm passionate about, because I see so many people that agree with us. I mean, all of our friends, our neighbors, co-workers, so many people agree with us, but I think they feel beat down, or they feel like their voice is not heard. And I think I've coined a term in the last few days called the casual voter. And a casual voter doesn't believe their vote really matters.
Guilty.
And they think, well, if I go vote, it's a good thing. It's patriotic. It's not bad. The flag's waving. It's kind of fun to go vote. Mm-hmm. It's a patriotic thing. I'll go vote. It's my duty. I get the little sticker. You're a casual voter. I think if we could get people to where they would become a passionate voter, where they would say, you know what, I think it matters. My vote does matter. It comes down to where these elections are won. And in your case, or by just a few, either way, of people sitting at home can change the course of an election, can change the course of a county, can change the course of a state, and even this country. So I'm pushing for that. And I love the way you said you're not pro-Republican. I'm not either. I see the Republican Party as a tool. I see it as a tool that can be utilized by conservatives. The problem with the Republican Party is we don't have conservatives serving in the positions.
That's right.
If we can get conservatives serving in the positions, we'll turn this party in the right direction. And I said this in front of Joey Hensley here. Joey, if you're listening, God bless you. Keep working on Lawrence. You're doing a good job. You're getting him healthy.
That's good.
Hey, I haven't been to a doctor in like 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I like Joey. And I'm like, okay, I trust Joey.
Yeah.
Joey was actually one of the few doctors in this state that would prescribe ivermectin.
He was. He was also one of the few doctors in this state, one of the few legislators at the time that were pushing back and speaking publicly against the mandates.
I know. And
while he was here, let me finish my thought.
sorry.
We're just pawing all over Joey Hensley.
Yeah, we can talk about Joey all day.
Yeah, Joey, he's been here several times with us. I've known him all my life. Great guy. But the point I want to make is I said it in front of Joey. I said, it's like there's a war in the Republican Party. And he said, there is definitely a war in the Republican Party. And it's under the surface. And it's like the people who don't want to lose control are like, nothing going on here, nothing to see here, folks. Everybody go back as you were. But then there's folks who are conservative and they're going, hold on. There is a problem. The Gary Humbles out there, the Brandon Taylors, the Lawrence Suttons. And we're like, hold on, there is a problem. We are going to have to get in here and we're going to have to get active and we're going to have to fix it. And I just see it as a big tool. I see it as it's huge. It runs with a conservative ideology, okay? And we do have a Republican majority. So when people say we've got a conservative majority, we don't have a conservative majority, like you said. We have a Republican majority. So what do? We have to get conservatives elected, and I think it starts with getting them into their county executive committees, just as you were saying just a few minutes ago, Gary.
And let me make sure that every listener really understands what that majority means, because this is super important. Because when you look at Nashville and you think, well, why are these conservative measures failing? Why aren't we able to pass in this legislation? And of course, whenever these legislators, some of them, not all of them, but they go out and about to their home turf and they do these potluck fundraisers and they're looking for campaign donations. What we love to do is we talk about the left. Oh, Joe Biden did this. Kamala Harris did this. Mm-hmm. And it's great fodder because people write checks and they get excited and get fired up. But the fact is, you just need to understand about our Capitol. We have 132 legislators. There are 99 members of the House in Tennessee.
Yep. Of
those 99, 75 are Republican. Of the 33 senators that we have in the state, 27 yep. are Republican. We have a supermajority, but here's what I want to make sure everybody understands. That doesn't just mean you have a supermajority of votes. It means you have a constitutional quorum. It means this, that even if one Democrat, if zero Democrats, let me rephrase that, if no Democrats showed up to work at the Capitol, and only Republicans showed up on the floor of the Senate and the House, constitutionally, with only Republicans, you have enough members to gavel in, do the business of the General Assembly, pass law, and send it to the governor's desk without one Democrat. So some people that get upset with me and think, why does Gary always just harp on the Republicans? Why is he so mean to the Republicans? Why does he not get on the left? It's because the left has a zero power
right.
here in the
They're
state
irrelevant.
of Tennessee to do anything. The only people that you can blame here in the state
is Republicans,
because we hold all the cards. So that's important to understand. I don't think the great majority of people realize that you have a singular party here in Tennessee when it comes to the ability to legislate and defend liberty here. So that's where the accountability lies. I'm not look. There's plenty of folks out there willing to talk about Joe Biden.
Sure.
I'm just not interested.
No.
My voice is not needed there. That is not what we're fighting here in Tennessee.
That's right. Well, and if you're just tuning in, this is why we love Gary Humble. TennesseeStands.org. He's passionate. He gets fired up about the things that we're passionate about. And so I'm glad to hear your voice in here on the radio. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, Gary Humble, iron sharpens fire. And I hope I'm not the stainless steel here.
No. That's I really love that though. What you said about that it needs to be the same type of metal. I really. In a time such as this, it's so important that conservatives find a way to coalesce. I mean, we can get divided on so many topics, and I understand. I mean, we're a passionate bunch. We should be. These things are important, and they're worth getting fired up about. But we are fighting a battle, and there are some things that we need to cooperate on because we need to win.
You know that bumper sticker that says coexist?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
You know why you hate it? Because it's not iron sharpeneth iron. That will dull you.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that will dull you.
It'll also send you to hell too. Is what it'll do. But I had this conversation with our state senator Paige Wally, and I told Paige this. I go, Paige, as long as you will protect our Constitution, our state and our federal Constitution, I go, the other things we can work on. But I go, I have an absolute, and anytime you start looking at laws or passing laws that steps on my Constitution, then me and you will have a problem at that point. If that doesn't happen, I said, the other things, yes, we can work on. We can have disagreements on things. But to me, that Constitution, you start messing with that's when you need to go. And that's the reason I have no respect right now for Bill Lee. because he has done, since COVID, he has done everything he could to step on our Constitution. And I'm saying that nicely. I could use some other metaphors, what he has tried to do to
You're
our
a really nice
Constitution.
guy today. We appreciate your level of niceness today.
I mean, hey, real quick, before I forget this, Laura, you need to put on Gary's website so people can link it to when they go on to Facebook and they go on YouTube.
You want me to post it on there?
Yeah, I want it on there, yes, because I want everybody to be able to go and find him easily, just in case they forget or they're in their car right now.
Just click on the link and then
They
go.
can just-
Yeah, and if you're listening live on WDXE, we are streaming to Facebook and YouTube on WDXE's website, so you can go on and check us out. If you are listening, hit the like button. Even if you don't like it, you'll learn to. And go ahead and subscribe while you're at it, because later we may say something you actually enjoy.
You might. And we actually probably have the young. We actually probably have the youngest producer in this country right now at 12 years old.
It's impressive. I got to say, it really is impressive.
She's working hard, and she's not even getting paid for it. So, it's tough being one of those 12-year-old interns. This may be illegal. I don't know. But
God bless our young people.
That's right. Well, you know what? We've got some good ones around here. So talking more about special session, I feel like we've got some leftovers going into the regular session coming up in January. What do you see out there you've got your eye on for the regular session?
Well, I'd like to drill down on something that I believe is going to be an issue that will rear its ugly head again, and I want to go back to this Chamber of Commerce comment I made, because I think it's important that people understand what I'm saying. Because one of the attacks that I got when I was running for state senate is, well, Gary's not pro-business. He says all these things about the Chamber of Commerce. Well, the fact of the matter is I'm pro-Tennessee and I'm pro-Constitution. But our state government, unfortunately, they are willing to take your tax dollars and pick winners and losers. They are willing to They're willing to subsidize corporations, regardless of whether or not they may actually create a job, in favor of certain development deals, and what they call it job growth. What it really is theft. The funny thing about economic development here in the state is, and you tell me, maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen that money go to the small business on Main Street that's struggling to keep their doors open, that's been fighting for 10 years.
Those are large corporations.
I always see it to the large corporation. By the way, that's out of state. Oh, we want you to come to Tennessee. Well, what about the folks that are here,
right?
That have been creating jobs here, fighting here, right?
Well, we seen that in COVID, because Walmart stayed open, but our mom and pops places, they closed them down.
Yeah. So let me tell you about this proposed constitutional amendment that we defeated this last session, but there's a rule in the Senate that will allow it to be brought back up, and it's this. In our current Constitution since 1870, it has restricted the state of Tennessee from expending our tax dollars in such a way that the state becomes an owner in whole or in part of a bank or any private corporation. So, which is reasonable. Right now, you would think it's reasonable anyway, unless you want to become China. Right now, per the Constitution, the state of Tennessee cannot own private companies. Doesn't that make sense?
Absolutely. Government has no business. Isn't that called socialism?
Right.
Or communism even?
And would you consider that perhaps that constitutional provision has provided a great deal of success here in Tennessee? We are, I think, one of the most fiscally responsible states in the country. We are, economically speaking, I think, a powerhouse, in the nation. It's why businesses want to come here. It's why people are moving here in droves.
That's right.
So those are good things. So I would argue that constitutional foundation has created a great basis by which business can thrive along with low state regulation. But here's the problem. There's an amendment on the books. This is being pushed by Republican leadership and being pushed by our treasurer that would alter that amendment, that at the permission, and this is what's incredible about the amendment, it doesn't even require legislative approval. It only requires approval of the comptroller and the treasurer, two unelected men in our government.
No.
All right. This proposal would allow that by the permission of the comptroller and the treasurer, it would allow any state agency to take state funds and invest those funds into equities and become a shareholder. Thereby, the verbiage actually says allowing the state to become an owner in whole and part of a private corporation. This is where we're heading. And the thing I want to juxtapose, right, in this Chamber of Commerce comment, in terms of Chamber of Commerce Republican, the argument in favor of this amendment is that, well, it'd be a great return on investment. See, Gary, you don't understand investments. You see, we can only invest in bonds and we get a very low return on our tax dollars. And if we can invest in equities, the state stands to make billions of extra dollars in returns.
I've heard that argument.
Well, and that's supposed to be conservative.
But see, that argument is BS now, because now bonds are 5% and 6%. Thank you, Joe Biden, economics.
but here's my question. And when we get back to the Constitution, here's what Republicans should be asking themselves instead. It's very simple. Should states own corporations?
It's called communism and socialism last time I looked it up.
And by the way, does the state have a constitutional duty to generate revenue?
No.
No
way.
It does not. States do not generate revenue. People do.
That's correct.
What states do is secure constitutional rights.
That's correct.
That's what states do.
Well, it's almost like Tennessee's trying to do what our federal government's doing, is that we're allowing bureaucrats to make decisions, and we've took it out of the legislators' hands, or the legislators is letting it being taken out of their hands, so they're not being held responsible.
Yeah.
But if it's an unelected position, then how do you get rid of somebody like that? And that's the reason we have the problem in our country right now with all the alphabet, whether it's the CIA, FBI, ATF, IRS. I mean, we can just keep going.
And all those groups will bypass your constitutional rights.
They do it every day.
And then they just fine you.
See, right? Like, let me posit an example here. So, back in 2020 and 2021, when we had the special session on COVID, we were advocating for policy that would restrict an employer from firing you because you refused to take a shot. We were working to restrict an employer's perceived right to mandate your own medical care. That's crazy.
Right.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Now, okay.
My body, my choice.
In the correct tense, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
But that was already a hard enough lift. Imagine a scenario where you are advocating for policy for the state to defend your rights, but now the state and your employer are financially entangled. They're the same entity. The state you're advocating to protect your rights is now a shareholder in the corporation that is abrogating those rights.
So let me
imagine how hard does it now make you?
It seems like it's the epoxy of the bond that would bring the lobbyist. The lobbyist would love this.
Oh yeah, it's like one big happy family.
Yeah, then it brings the lobbyist where their job is a lot easier after that point. That's what it sounds like.
And so what I mean when I say a Chamber of Commerce Republican is someone who goes to the State House and they look at these policies, and the only thing they weigh is a perceived return on investment with no thought to the Constitution or the duty that they have to ensure that the rights of the people first are protected, and just ask simple constitutional questions like, in a federalist society, is it appropriate for a state to own corporations? I mean, these questions, unfortunately, are not being asked in Nashville, but this is partly why we do the work that we do. So, by the way, that constitutional amendment, back to this coming session, is going to be coming back up one last time in 2024, because though it did not pass, resolutions are allowed to be brought up for 2 times for one. So, and I would imagine Senator Farrell Hale, who is running this piece of legislation, will bring it back up again. So we'll be watching closely.
So let me ask you this. Is that something that you have on your website that people can go there and look at it? And do we know, or are you aware of what senators as well as what state representatives might be inclined to vote for this?
Yeah, so we don't have that on our site right now. That what we do is once the session will start, we'll have a page dedicated to all of the advocacy pieces that we're asking people to take action on.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay in the know, you absolutely must subscribe to our email list. And you can do that at TennesseeStands.org and hit the subscribe button, because you will get one or two, sometimes 3 emails a week during legislative session, which is between January and usually the first part of May, sometimes the end of April. And that is when we are engaged in ensuring that Tennesseans are informed on the issues and that you have an opportunity to take action on some of these important topics. And every now and then we'll spec out a few representatives that require some communication, but by and large, those typically go by committees. And so when a bill is going through a particular committee, we'll ask people to communicate to that committee, hopefully to see its success or failure, depending upon our position.
What committee would that be in, or do you know?
That resolution would be in Judiciary.
Judiciary, okay.
Yeah, most constitutional amendments will go through Judiciary.
Well, we're intended to go back to the state capitol this year, okay, no, the upcoming year, in the next session. We want to go back. We were there for the special session. We were there on August 22nd. It was a great day for Lawrence County. Yes. It was a great day for the state of Tennessee to see a good turnout. I mean, we counted 22 protesters up there in the gallery, and of course they got all the press. 22.
And we had 130
of us.
We had 130.
So
yes.
We had packed that area out, and it was grotesque to watch the media just follow them around like they were Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah,
or something.
they frame out the shot as if there's 200 people there, as if there's the only
That's
ones
right.
there.
It was ridiculous.
And one of your good friends was there with us, David Morgan, our county executive.
And I want to say hello to my friend David Morgan here in Lawrence County. We went to Bible college together back when we were young 20-year-old men. And I walked in the door today in the radio station. Apparently, there's a contest that you can give money and to see somebody get a pie in the face.
Yep.
So David, just so you know, man, I'm giving money. I'm giving money on your account. Right?
In your honor.
Right.
In your honor, there's a pie in your face.
That's right. That's right. But we actually had 8 elected officials of Lawrence County that went up with us to the special session. And
that's fantastic.
I know.
That's a great showing.
We have a very good.
It is fantastic.
We do. We have very good elected officials here in Lawrence County. We're very happy to who we have.
And and to touch on the fundraising that you were talking about, Gary, it's called Cash for Cancer. My hat's off to WDXE, WLX here, the radio station that we're in. They're trying to raise money, and the money's going to stay local in the county. And I was just hearing just bits and pieces of it, something new they've started. Go online and take a look at it. Come by the radio station. You can give a donation, and whoever raises the most money is going to get a pie in the face. And so they've got these boxes out there with certain folks from our community. And David Morgan, your good friend.
So listen, if you support the good conservative work that Tennessee Stands is doing, you need to come by the radio station and put money in David Morgan's box, right, to get a pie.
That's right.
And so to be fair, they've got a box out there for David Morgan, Blake Lay, Terry Beecham, John Myers, Chris Jackson, Ryan Egley, Kip Capley, Charlotte, and Maddie from here at the radio station also have a box out there. So if they get a pie in the face as well, that might be almost as funny as watching David Morgan get one. I don't know, but
I don't know. I mean, our sheriff. I mean, he would probably like a pie in the face because
he'd enjoy it.
He likes to eat sweet stuff sometimes. He's
I'm
got
not
a little
going to do
sweet
something that
tooth.
somebody's going to enjoy. That's not going to be fun. But that money's actually going to go for things after they have surgeries, mastectomies. They actually will buy products for them, for the ladies there. So it's Breast Cancer Awareness Week. It's near and dear to my heart. My mother died with breast cancer,
Great cause.
I think it's a great cause.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to WDXE. Just want to give them a plug on that real quick. Also, time's flying by. We're down to the last few minutes, but I want to invite people to our next Lawrence County Republican Party meeting, which is going to be on October 24th at 6 p.m. at the courthouse. It's always on the fourth Tuesday of the month, October 24th, 6 p.m., Lawrence County Courthouse. And next week, we're going to have Bedford County Republican Party Chairman Bo Gill and Bedford County Commissioner Eric Maddox in studio with us. Looking forward to having those guys in here, pushing conservative values there in Bedford County, doing a great job. So moving along, I would like to touch on just a little bit about what you think about Israel. I mean, we're all believers, and it's like this thing seems to be a scene that's playing almost right of biblical proportions, if you will. So I just want to give you a minute and pick your thoughts on that one.
You know, it's hard because as a believer, I'm weighing not only it's between these geopolitical and spiritual implications that are huge right now, and I believe personally we are watching something go down that can I say what the beginning of the end or the beginning of the real beginning or whatever?
We talk about all the time.
It's really incredible to watch. Scripture come to life in our own time. What I would say in particular, I think I have some of the same concerns that everyone has. I mean, from a spiritual perspective, I believe personally we are commanded to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I think there are things at play here biblically that we ought to be paying attention to. Beyond that, though, when you just think about the political sphere globally, I'm really concerned about the potential bad actors involved. I question, as many are, the ability for the Israeli border to be breached. I mean, you're talking about the most technologically advanced and secure border, and by the way, an intelligence agency in the Mossad that is second to none. And so the ability of a few Hamas bandits to be able to breach the border and what they did is quite amazing. It definitely seems to be potentially some shenanigans at play.
I said that, and we got a program coming on Friday, and I expounded on that. And I'm just going to tell you, what you said is what I had told, and we pre-recorded this on Tuesday. I said the same thing, that Benjamin Netanyahu and the government, they are either totally incompetent or they let it happen. One or the other. I'll give them their choice. But they know when a cockroach crosses that
right.
fence. And for that to have happened, I wanted to ask you about this. What is your thought process with America involved in this? Because I'm going to tell you, I really believe, and I fear for our country because of this, but the Biden administration last month gave $6 billion to Iran.
We funded it.
We funded it, and $1.5 billion to the Palestine Authority, the PLO.
Yeah, we funded it, and so that's part of the geopolitical concern that I'm talking about here. There are much larger things at play. For example, I do believe that we funded this war. I mean, releasing $6 billion from a South Korean bank that previously was holed up under sanctions to Iran, a country that we know is going to use that money. They say, well, it can only be used for humanitarian purposes. Really?
Yeah.
Well, they actually consider this humanitarian purposes.
For Iranians, they do. That's
they
right.
Actually do.
And so, I think the United States, certainly our corrupt government that currently occupies the White House, is implicated in this. And also consider the fact that right now we are in a proxy war with Russia. We are over $100 billion into funding a criminal enterprise in the Ukraine. And now we're faced with a proxy war between Israel and Iran, God help us. That essentially puts the United States of America in a two-theater war on foreign soil.
What about the fact that due to what we did in Afghanistan, we're giving weapons to fund this war with Hamas? I don't know if you know
with the $1 billion of weapons of warfare we left on the battlefield.
See, I'm a gun guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know by looking at TV the difference between an AK-47 and an M4. So for everybody that's listening, an M4 is what we would call an AR-15. No, it's not. It stands for Armalite rifle, not assault rifle. But the M4 is actually a 3-burst or a fully automatic weapon. I noticed that Hamas, when they would scan, I would see AK-47s, but thing I've never seen before over there in the Middle East, I'm looking at M4s in these people's hands.
Yeah, and where do you think they could have gotten that?
Afghanistan.
Yeah, and so the other thing that concerns me, we talked about the sleeper cells earlier, but I'm really looking at China right now. I think China is looking for an opportunity to take Taiwan.
Yes.
And of course, we know that our military is severely depleted. Many, if you're paying attention, you may know it's public knowledge that our stockpiles are significantly depleted. In fact, so much so that in funding the war in Ukraine, the U.S. was looking to send more Stinger missiles. And instead of sending more Stinger missiles, we had to spend money to re-up our production facilities that has since been closed to produce Stinger missiles because we're behind the curve, even on the homeland. And my point there is, as we get dragged into these wars, we're looking at now China and Russia, who are becoming very, very friendly through all of this. And China is looking to take Taiwan, which is going to continue to increase their economic prowess globally, and to the destruction of the dollar, and God forbid, the ability to possibly, you don't want to think this way, but attack the homeland. So I just think, I'm praying that outside of the biblical implications of what's happening in Israel, Americans need to be, before we just start waving our Israel flag all over the place, right, and going to war, we have to be really astute in thinking about the atmosphere that we're currently in, and seeking godly wisdom that only He can give us. It's like, remember in was it First Chronicles, the men of Issachar, who understood the times and knew what to do.
That's correct.
That
watchman on the wall.
That is the kind of men we need right now.
Yes, it's called the anointing of Issachar.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, Gary, thank you for being here. We're wrapping down the last couple of minutes. They can find you. Give your website again. TennesseeStands.org. That's TennesseeStands.org. Please be sure to click the subscribe button and get our poignant and relevant emails here in Tennessee. And you can find us on every bit of social media at Tennessee Stands. It's a very professional looking website. You do a great job. I just want to hand that to you. It's just, it looks good. I like what you do. It's easy to watch, and you come out with a lot of relevant information.
I've been a subscriber for over 2 years, and I would tell everybody this: once you subscribe, the first couple of times I subscribed until I changed over it was sent to my junk box. And so I had,
you got to watch out for those Google filters. They get you any way they can.
That's correct. So I had to change that over so it would come into my regular.
So special thanks to Lawrence County Republican Party.
Yes.
For actually letting us put this show on, bring us together. It's one of the fastest moving hours in radio, I believe. We come in and sit down and it's time to go.
So I thought we just got started.
I know.
I'm ready to keep going, but
yes,
our time is up. I want to thank everyone that listens each week. We'll be back on again next Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. live. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, stream it, hit the like button, subscribe, send it to your favorite liberal. They'll thank you later.
Yeah, and please tune in to the news show starting on Friday from 5 to 6 p.m.
5 to 6 p.m.
Yep, it's going to call Free Speech News, where we are not politically correct, we're biblically correct.
I love it.
All right.
Amen to that.
Amen. God bless everybody.
Thank you.